Here's Butch Ware dropping the old truth bombs.
That's Democratic governor in California. That's Democrat, mayors in places like New York City. It's Democrats that are running cop cities. So the thing is, bro, fascism is already here. It's just that one of it is like fascism, and the other is fascism. But the truth is that the purple fascists, the purple imperialists, Team Red and Team Blue, are run by the same funders, and who funds you runs you. So there's a discourse about putting off fascism, but the reality is that fascism was already here because we already can't speak freely. We already have people, university presidents, losing their job under democratic regimes. We already have kids that are lining up for peaceful protests, having their heads knocked open, or you have the cops standing to the side at UCLA so the thugs can knock kids' heads open. So I'm sorry, the fear mongering ain't gonna work on me.
And the fear mongering he's talking about is they did the thing that you can expect Jill Stein is always going to get, which is Trump's so horrible, 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 horrible. How dare you get in the way of Trump being more easily defeated? And he's saying, Butch Ware is saying, as you guys heard, fear mongering is not going to work on me because we're already in fascism. One is a fascism with a smiley face, and one's a fascism with a frowny face. And basically, you have a lot of liberals across this country telling you need to go with the smiley face because it feels better. It just feels a lot better to be arrested for freedom of speech by someone smiling. And, he was mentioning that you have Democratic governors in a lot of these places that have cop cities. Cop cities, of course, being these massive training grounds for more militarized police, for more police to crack heads, for more police to go after protesters, to go after freedom of speech, to go after people violating, tiny nothing laws in order to just keep harassing and haranguing mainly poor people, mostly poor people across this country. And these cop cities a lot of them are being trained, believe it or not, by Israelis, to bring that thread back around. They're being trained by Mossad and other Israeli IDF. And that training is then put out on our streets as to how to effectively harm protesters and harm those who are trying to fight back against a genocidal, absolutely, by textbook fucking definition, genocidal regime. That is what the U.S. is. You cannot ship bombs to blow up children every 36 hours for 11 months, for over 11 months, and not be the definition of a genocidal regime. And that's on both sides. So to sit here and go, oh, well, this one's got the smiley face of the genocidal regime. This one's got the frowny face of the genocidal regime. As Butch Ware says, the fear mongering's not going to work on me. I'll just play the end here again. But the co-host, her last name's Rye. I can't remember her first name. She was very upset at the idea, at hearing this truth.
Having their heads knocked open, or you have the cops standing to the side at UCLA so the thugs can knock kids' heads open. So I'm sorry, the fear mongering ain't gonna work on me.
The only is very dangerous rhetoric to say there are two sides of the same coin. I do think it's important for us to
dangerous
understand.
To the Democrats, yes.
I think it's dangerous.
That's Democrat.
Yeah, she says dangerous rhetoric to say there are two sides of the same coin. They're absolutely two sides of the same. You just have to study this shit. Just read the right books for like 10 minutes. Honestly, you read one Chris Hedges book and you read Confessions of an Economic Hitman and maybe two other books and you'll have it. You'll get it. You got it. Good. Or you can pick up a book called Bullet Points and Punchlines if you'd like by Leecamp or an ebook called Dangerous Idea. Not to say. That should clarify it for you. Here's also Jill Stein trying to explain to them about the Ukraine war.
Words of John F. Kennedy. We must not negotiate out of fear, but we must not fear to negotiate. Look at the Ukraine war, for example, which is an absolute disaster. It is a war being fought to the last Ukrainian. No one is paying a steeper price in blood than the people of Ukraine right now. This is an absolutely criminal and tragic war, but it was completely avoidable. Even after it began, there were negotiations taking place under the auspices of Turkey, which brought together the various parties, and you had a peace agreement between Russia and Ukraine. And that peace treaty was disrupted by the U.S. and by the U.K., which came in and said, no, you may not make peace here. The U.S. has been invested in this, unfortunately, as part of our plan for the expansion of U.S. influence following the collapse of the Soviet Union. It's a longer story. We don't need to go into it, but this is an absolutely avoidable conflict. You have to be very skeptical of the talking points that we're hearing.
I think that was very well said. And of course, those are the type of facts that you will never hear on that show or any mainstream show. They're not going to mention the peace deal that was going going to be signed within the first month after the beginning of the war in Ukraine. They're not going to mention the Maidan coup that the U.S. created in order to facilitate a proxy war in Ukraine. They're not going to mention any of this. They're just going to do the old goldfish memory, woke up yesterday and, oh my God, Russia invaded, very upsetting. End of story. I thought this put it pretty well about the two-party system. Someone posted this. This is by Peter Camejo. This is the great power of the two-party system. The Republicans are in charge of promoting the interests of the corporate rulers and to push it as far as they can. The Democrats are to control the people so that no opposition ever appears. And that's a very different task. And therefore, they appear as very different parties, but they serve the same moneyed interests, and they actually work together as a team to create utter confusion in America. I thought that was an interesting way of putting it, because I haven't heard it put quite in that way. Pretty close, but not quite that way of the Democrats are to control the people so that no opposition is created against the corporate rulers, and the Republicans are there to promote the interests of the corporate rulers. And it's an interesting way of putting it, that one side pushes forward everything the corporate rulers want, and the other side is basically there in case the people start to get uppity, in case the people start to get a whiff of the fact that the corporate rulers are getting everything they want and we're getting nothing we want, in case people start to get a whiff that they can't afford healthcare, in case people start to get a whiff that 2/3 of Americans can't afford a house, in case people start to get a whiff that 2/3 of Americans are living paycheck to paycheck, in case those things start to resonate with people, in case those things start to matter to people, you have the Democrats to go, I'm going to fix those things. And just a beautiful release valve for all the anger, for all the fury, for all the ire, for all the frustration, for all the anguish that sits inside your average American as they have their lives destroyed by paying for healthcare. Someone posted a receipt. I know every once in a while one of these receipts goes viral for their hospital visit. They went to the hospital for a snake bite, and the cost in total was over $200,000 to go to the hospital for a snake bite. So anyway, when people start to unite, the Democrats are there to say, we're with you and we will help, and then do exactly the same thing in action as the Republicans.